that becomes a very nice upalakshana. What is upalakshana? This was something is blinking. This also has to do. Press?
Yes.
Depress?
Yes.
Okay. So, so when that siphoning takes place, this is all a story. It's a mythical story. The siphoning is just like being able to siphon off the sat from the samsara. Sat and samsara are mixed up, Samsara is nothing but sat. But sat is not samsara, correct? Yeah, it's a very funny one-way mix-up. And so, we adore this birdie because it, through its example, whether it's really existent or not doesn't matter. It's a mythical bird which teaches us something about mithya. From where the word mithya, mythical comes from mithya only, I think. Myth, mithya. And so we adore this bird. Hamsa hamsaya vidmahe paramahamsaya dhimahi tanno hamsaf prachodayat. So we adore this bird because may it help us to also always be having Teflon attitude towards samsara. Where we don't siphon off the samsara. We leave the samsara behind and just ingest and assimilate the sat. That is the beauty of this hamsa. And so Paramahamsa is the one who is able to do that in life. A sannyasi is called Paramahamsa. And then when this is used with regard to sannyasis, because even with sannyasis there are different kinds of sannyasis. Yeah. There are so many categories. You want to know some?
Sure.
So, on the first level of distinction of the various kinds of sannyasis that abound the earth, is the distinction is made in the mode of the act of feeding oneself, which is a primary act. Yeah. Sannyasi also needs to eat. And so therefore, how does the person produce the food? Produce or ingest or imbibe the food. So on that basis, there are two kinds of sannyasis. The sannyasi that goes from place to place. Madhukari vritti. Madhukari means like a bee. Madhu karoti. Yeah. And so the one who Madhu karaha, that's a very nice thing, And so the one who makes madhu, what is madhu?
Honey.
So the honey maker, who is the honey maker? So the bee tells us about some things about being. Yeah, the bee tells us a few things about being. And one thing is that it flits from flower to flower. So the bee, like sannyasi, what does the sannyasi do? Go from house to house in search of alms, or go from place to place. Few days in one village, few days in another village, and that is seen as an acceptable lifestyle. Then the other kind of sannyasi sits and waits for the food to come. What is this?
Crocodile?
Huh?
Crocodiles?
No, the python mouth. The python just lies. When I went to Australia, I had this experience. I was going on a walk on an island, and it was all very nice, and it was brown. Everything was uniformly brown, and some Bhagavan's sense made me stop, did not take the next step, and suddenly a certain brown portion became red, yellow, and white, and it was this snake which went like a freight train. It kept on going and going and going, the whole length of it. It was, I think, 20 feet long. It went and then it coiled up the tree and looked down. I also said, I'm glad you are there and I'm here. So that is called ajagari vritti. Means they wait like the python, and the python has got a chameleon type of, skin camouflage, and it just opens its mouth and waits. If you are in any doubt, you go to there is a snake park in Chennai. You go there, especially, or don't go there, especially at feeding time. Yeah, hapless little chicks. They are just walking, and these fellows are just sitting. Before you know it, finished. All you see is a bulge going down. Yeah. And then they coil around a tree and wait for it to digest. They don't have to eat for a month after that. So this is the second kind of sannyasi who waits, who lies in wait for the food to come. Eats whatever is at hand. So based on the mode of bhiksha, this is the distinction. Then there is another distinction, Hamsa sannyasi and Paramahamsa sannyasi. Who is this Hamsa sannyasi? The one who carries the stick, called danda. Like you have seen photos of, even here, Adi Shankara is carrying a stick. You see the stick there?
Yeah.
With a little orange flag there? Yeah. Yeah. That is to, that stick is not just to advertise I am coming. No. That stick is a device by which the ego is trained to not be connected to the body, mind, sense complex. So the ego becomes the stick. Like a shadow, it goes wherever you go, but you are not it. Yeah. So when they do puja, that's why there are all these rules. They cannot they cannot cross the oceans, the Hamsa sannyasis. They cannot do this, they cannot do that. They have to eat only certain ways, and only some people can cook for them. Very lot of rules. Goodness. Huge amount of rules. All because of this very interesting superimposition of the ahankara put on the stick. So the stick, the stick becomes the one that does the puja in a certain way. So the ahankara is the stick. So the stick always goes, but there is a certain negation of the body, mind, sense complex as I, and in that awareness they have to take the stick everywhere. And so that is a permanent carry on, the stick. And they cannot be caught without the stick, otherwise it will be a sticky situation. So stick always have to be there. That is called Hamsa sannyasi. Then that stick is also given up, because what ahankara? There is no ahankara. So our lineage derives from the Paramahamsa sannyasis, where there is no stick. So the rules are also not there. Then in addition to this, the stick no stick difference, there is another way to look at the mode of ordination itself. And from the mode of ordination itself, there are certain different kinds of sannyasis. One is called Bahudaka. What is Bahu? Bahu means what? Many. Bahu means many. Bahu means nana. Nana means Bahu. Yeah. So Bahu. Udaka means Udakam. Udakam. Water. So Bahu Udakam means those sannyasi go from river bank to river bank, making their homes or cottages. Always they live by bodies of water. Bahudaka means many bodies of water. So that is one kind of sannyasi. Then you have Kutichaka. Kutichaka sannyasi. And this is an interesting, it's all valid. It's all on the mode of ordination. Let's say one is too sick, or see the sannyasi, when you are given sannyasa, you should not be, what is that? You should be able to take care of yourself, basic things, because this is not some kind of medical. Sannyasa is not medical. Free things coming, free, everything. No. You're supposed to be able-bodied. To be a king or a sannyasi, you have to be able-bodied. But then sannyasa cannot be denied to the one who has the tyaga buddhi. So supposing if one doesn't have a hand or a leg or eyes or ears, but one has all the prerequisite adhikaritvam, has tyaga, has desire to give up, wants to give up everything, that person cannot be denied, correct? So the elders and the Shastra itself has made an amended sannyasa. Very nice. So you are not allowed to just go on large and subject the society to, to whatever is. I mean, it's one thing if one becomes sick after gaining sannyasa, that's a sick or disabled, but it should not be before, because such a person should not be out of the kindness, such a person will not let themselves be unleashed upon the rest of the society. So because like I said, this is not, Obamacare, that, so this is not that kind of a situation. So therefore, such a person, if the tyaga is there and the desire to study the Shastra is there, or they have already studied the Shastra and they want sannyasa, then there is a certain amendment, how to give such a person sannyasa. And so for that, the whole family of that person is involved, the family and the extended family, because they may be sick, they may not be able to teach, they may be bedridden, they may not be conscious, they may be missing a limb or two, Yeah, and so the family is brought into the thing, and they are told to build a little outhouse type of, like an in-law unit in the compound of the family, where this person removes and stays by themselves, and the extended family takes turn in bringing food and, cleaning the person up or whatever the person level of care they need. And that is called Kutichaka Sannyasa. Very nice, how beautiful. So we have discussed Bahudaka, lineage of sannyasis who live by bodies of water, who have their ashrams or not, but they may be roamers, but they will always roam by bodies of water. Then we have Kutichaka. Kutichaka means that amended this thing. And then there is Apat Sannyasa. Apat means emergency sannyasi. So supposing one wants to have sannyasa, but then what happens? One is not quite ready for it. And then because one is not ready for it, one is not given it, And then what happens? That one, let us say, finds out that they have only 6 months to live. And it's not just they are making it up. Really speaking, they have only 6 months to live. At best, the doctors are telling. Okay? So with only 6 months to live, the person has the choice, and it is allowed to go to either their guru, or if they don't have one, even if they've never studied the Shastra, to go to a guru and any sannyasi and say, please initiate me because my days are numbered. And I would like to enjoy this sannyasa for this time, and also because, we have seen in Kaivalya Upanishad, Paramritaha Parimuchyanti Sarve, there is no coming back for a sannyasi. So, that is, we saw that, remember? Yeah, so that we saw that. And Dahram Vipapam, so the belief is that once you are given sannyasa, there is no coming back. And so, such a person, it's called Apat Sannyasa. So, sometimes one may say, okay, I have this disease, the doctors are saying at best I will live for 6 months, please give me sannyasa, and nobody should deny such a person. That is called, what is that called? Apat. Apat means emergency. So this in English we can call it 911 sannyasa. Yes. Yes, 911 sannyasa. I don't have 9 lives. This one time, just please make it happen. And also there is another scenario, like for example, one may not know that one has 6 months to live or 3 months to live. One may only, one may be perfectly healthy, but then one may suddenly get into an accident. And then, before going into a coma or some kind of, situation, the person just has a few seconds of lucidity and asks for sannyasa, and then also it is given. This is called Apat Sannyasa. Then there are 2 other kinds, which is, one is called Vividisha Sannyasa. Vividisha. What is Vividisha? Huh? Vividisha, the desire to know. Yeah. Mumuksha, same. San pratyaya. The suffix is san. Mumuksha, vividisha, Jignasa, Veditum ichha, Vividisha, Moktum ichha, Mumuksha, Bhoktum ichha, Bhubuksha, Patum ichha, desire to drink, Pipasa. This is all what is called a desiderative construction, where the desire to do something. So this is called Vividisha Sannyasa. Vividisha Sannyasa means sannyasa that is taken with the declaration that the tivra means the urgent, and like in Mundaka, you saw how we have seen in Mundaka Upanishad, in the Bhashya classes, we saw how you have to have that severe desire to learn. And then with that end, one gives up everything because I don't want to do anything anymore. Because all I want to do is spend my life in the knowledge. Whether it is teaching, learning, sitting in contemplation, sitting doing nothing, whatever it is. That is called Vividisha Sannyasa. Then we have one more sannyasa, which is, we only find that really speaking in the Upanishads, and that is called Vidvat Sannyasa. Vidvat is Vidwan, meaning the one who already knows. Like we see examples, this is an ideal type sannyasi. What is the example in the Upanishad of Vidvat Sannyasa? Who is an example? The sage Yajnavalkya. Yeah, Maitreyi's husband, Yajnavalkya. He says, Are Maitreyi, I already know what this Atma is, and then I'm leaving everything behind for you so that you can enjoy this. And I am going off to the forest to just be with myself. And it's not running away from anything. It is just because it's the culmination of that knowledge, where one can stay in the family like Vyasa did. Vyasa stayed in the family. But then, like Yajnavalkya, you can stay in the family and you say, okay, enough, now I'm going. It's just the time has come to retreat, to just be with myself. So these, in short, there are other 3, 4 other smaller types which I have, not included, but those are all slightly repetitious. But this, in short, is the kinds of sannyasa. That is what it is. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sannyasa trivia. We don't record this. We are now? Okay. All right. This, what is its name? What are we studying? Shvetashvatara doesn't go forward. We stay on the same, we are taking the milk run, correct? We stay very closely to each thing and we are studying each thing very, very carefully. And so, Tileshu Tailam Dadhini Vasarpihi Apat Srotassu Aranishu Chagnihi Evamatma Atmani Grihyate Sau Satye Nainam tapasayonupashyati
tapasayonupashyati
sarvavyapinamaatmanam
sarvavyapinamaatmanam
क्षीरे सर्पिरिवार्पितं
क्षीरे सर्पिरिवार्पितम्
आत्मविद्या तपोमूलम्
आत्मविद्या तपोमूलम्
तद्ब्रह्मोपनिषत्परम्
तद्ब्रह्मोपनिषत्परम्
तद्ब्रह्मोपनिषत्परम्.
तद्ब्रह्मोपनिषत्परम्.
Yeah. So, two kinds of tapas are talked about. Correct? And I told the difference last time. The first tapas is more shama, dama, etc. Correct? First tapas is adhikaritva. Both tapas means discipline. But the first tapas is more in the sense of indriya nigraha. Nigraha, the management. Indriyani, what? Sense organs. The management of sense organs is, in other words, what? Management of ragadveshas, because the sense organs are attracted to what? Sense objects. The sense objects are become attractive because, not because of the sense organs, because of ragadveshas. So the ragadvesha management is definitely the first tapas. And Bhagavad Gita says, Param drishtva, rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Meaning, when you have trouble managing ragadveshas, then what do? You starve the ragadveshas. Yeah. What is that? Feed a fever and starve a cold? Something like that. Doesn't sound right, but it's the opposite. Yeah, feed the cold because you need something to do, always you're sniffing and sneezing, and then starve the fever. Here you don't feed the raga and starve the dvesha, you starve both of them together. You go on a raga dvesha fast. When? Really fast. This is what it is. But then in the beginning, the ragadvesha will ultimately shrivel up and die. That is what happens to it when anything you deprive it of nutrients. What will happen? To a little plant, it shrivels up and die. So this weed of ragadvesha, the ragadvesha weeds that are worse than dandelions, they just multiply and they take over the whole inner landscape. So the inner landscape, becomes a means for escape. That's what happens. And so there is neither land nor scape because it becomes an inner jungle. And the jiva becomes like a Tarzan, going from vines of, from vine to vine, swinging along with the ragadveshas, in a helpless chain of ragadveshas, completely. So the jiva becomes a primate, prakrita buddhi. So we have two kinds of people. Samskrita buddhi. What is that? A buddhi that knows Sanskrit. No. Samskrita means well done, well cultivated buddhi. A buddhi which has done some pruning of the ragadveshas. A well kept buddhi, not an ill kept buddhi. Ill kept, but this is a well kept buddhi. Is called Samskrita buddhi. And buddhi as nature made, Prakritehe iyam prakritam, belonging to the universe. Meaning, like you look at a small child, it will say, I want this. It has carried the ragadveshas with great difficulties. It's continuing to carry them from many lives. It says, I want this. It is 2 years old. It thinks it is Ishvara. It thinks everybody should bow down and give it whatever it wants, whenever it wants. And you say no. And then what does it say? I want it now. Will jump up and down, correct? That is prakrita buddhi. But what is the job of the parent? To Sanskritize, to sanitize this buddhi, correct? And so the father and the mother will say, this demand of yours right now is, is untenable. This is not okay right now. Oh, but why is it not okay? Go to your room, calm down, chill out, chill in, and then we will discuss this later. So the parents and then the school, the daycare, wherever the child is sent, kind of parent this child to know when it is appropriate to leash out and when it is not appropriate to leash out. So the child has this, what is this? Learns this. This is what is called samskrita buddhi to a certain extent. But still those ragadveshas are still there, correct? And what can the parents do? They can only do so much. After the child grows up, the child has to take care of all the other children inside who are, throwing the tantrum. And so the first tapas is on the level of starving the ragadveshas. And that is why what we have upavasa, when you don't eat, you are not starving the body. That is not the austerity. When you don't eat, you think more about the food. Only food thoughts will come. On the day you say, I'm going to fast, that is the day you'll think more and more about food. You can't stop thinking about food even though you're not a person who is living to eat. Otherwise also you're not even worried. You skip so many meals. But when you're told to skip a meal, something funny happens in the head. You are thinking, okay, when is the next meal? What am I going to do? Oh my God, I have not eaten for 2 hours. I think I have to check my blood pressure. This is where suddenly one starts feeling weak. So really it's not on the level, the upavasa, and we have so many upavasas. You don't eat on Mondays, you don't eat on Tuesdays, you don't eat on, Thursdays, you don't eat on Saturdays, you don't eat on Ekadashi, and then you don't eat on Amavasya, you don't eat on so many days. Why? It is to starve that penchant or that urgency of the food, which is a ragadvesha level. That is the tapas here. And when you withdraw the ragadvesha, from the ragadvesha, the nutrients of your own thought, miracle grow. That is what it is. Your own thought and your own preoccupation with the ragadveshas makes it grow. Inch by inch, row by row. Let my garden of ragadveshas grow. This is what it is. Except they're not beds neat in a row. Yeah, they're not neat at all. Very unkempt. And so therefore, the starvation of the ragadveshas, and then what happens is you fix your mind on something else. That is important. Yeah. And this is how we've been kind of going from childhood. Childhood was fixated on something, and then youth was fixated. Childhood, Adi Shankara says in Bhaja Govindam, childhood there was a fixation for toys and play. In youth there is fixation on other youths. This is what he says. And then in old age there is fixation on all kinds of worries, regrets and fears of what was done, what was not done. When is it time for Brahman? Really? Every age has its own fixation. But here the point is you fix on Ishvara. Param Drishtva. You fix on that Param. And everything else is Apara. And resolves into Para. And you fix, if your fixation is Ishvara, it is extremely healthy. Because Ishvara doesn't have a dysfunctional fixation back on you, correct? Like an unhealthy relationship. I depend on Ishvara, Ishvara also depends on me. I depend on Ishvara Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's Ishvara's turn Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday we take off. No, that's not how it works. And so therefore, you fix on Ishvara means you make Ishvara, you Ishvarify your life. You say, to know you is my predominant preoccupation. To know you as the truth of myself. So for that means what? You will surrender more, you will worship more, and you will manage your ragadveshas better, because you have gone on a ragadvesha fast. And when you go on a ragadvesha fast, the ragadveshas shrivel up and die. But before that, they have their death cry, which you have to ignore. Yeah, they screech before they go. And many times people get scared and attend to their screech and then give them CPR. Why these? Because they are really small right now, all shriveled up. And then as soon as you give a CPR, then they sit up in bed and then give you a whack and put you out and control you. They run your life. So never resuscitate. DNR. Do not resuscitate a dying Ragatvesha. No ventilators, no artificial means of respiration, no, that was such a good Ragadvesha, let me briefly bring it to life. No, let it go. Param drishtva na nivartate. These do not return. Oh Arjuna, Bhagavan Krishna tells. And this is interestingly the same thing they do for tumors that are there in inoperable places, or difficult to reach places. So what they do is that they will use, because the tumor is sucking up all the blood that should go to the person. It is eating all the food the person is eating. It is growing fat, the person is losing weight. It is all ulta, upside down. And so they find the artery that is going into the tumor, that's feeding the tumor. And then they will do this angiogram, and then they will run a catheter through that artery. At the end of it is a balloon, and they will cut off the blood supply. And one day it waits, the tumor gets very agitated, nothing is happening, no blood is coming. What happened? I'm losing weight, what happened? And then they say, some people have told me that pain is horrible before this tumor dies. And the Ragadveshas are the many tumors that keep the nutrients of this spiritual growth away from me, that keep the priorities away from me. And so the first tapas here, the word used is to have an objective way of being with the Ragadveshas and not letting them intrude in my life. That is what is the first tapas. And where is that in that context? Let us look. So managing the Ragadvesha becomes the first tapas. Satyena enam tapasa anupashyati. So along with Satya Bhashanam, truthfulness. Truthfulness means truth speaking, and then integrity, a life led with integrity. This is important. So here is Satyam is not this Satyam Jnanam Anantam, but a step before that Satyam Jnanam Anantam is Satya Bhashanam, Satya Vachanam. Satya Bhashanam means speaking of the truth. And truth is something which is interesting, because Sat also means truth. Why? Because it is non-negatable. And so I make my inner psyche also a singular entity where only non-negatable things abide. Yeah. Because otherwise what will happen? I know something different than what I am saying. I know something different and I am behaving differently. So there is a split inside, there is no unison. And what is the split? Between the knower, the one who knows. The jnata, the pramata knows, okay, I did not win that prize. In fact, it went to the person who I don't like at all. But then the doer, the one who is the actor using vak, the tongue, says, I got that prize. In fact, I was the one who received this prize. But then I saw the person's face who was next to me in line. And that face was so sad. And I whispered to the organizers, you know what, I don't want this, give it to them. And they were called, and they were, it was because of me. I just slunk away. That part was true. That person did slink away. That was the only truth. Slunk away out of embarrassment, fear, shame, and a sense of, failure. Slunk away. Because could not bring it upon herself or himself to just celebrate that, okay, somebody is being lauded for their achievement, but made up a story about it. And what's the story? That because of me, that person got it. Now, do you think the story was for the society? Okay. So that my impression in the society is not tarnished and everybody looks upon me as a great person. All right, that's fine. But then how am I feeling inside? How is the person feeling inside? Because the person knows that now there is actually the burden of two kinds of sadness. The first sadness is not getting the prize, which one thought to be deserving, and the second sadness is the inability to live with oneself for what one has said or what one has done. Even if you shut up that conscience, it still keeps coming up, but you had to do this stupid thing. Wish you didn't have to do that. So there is that split. So already there are two people living in one antahkarana. Yes? It's almost like two different jivas are inhabiting one antahkarana. One of them is the witness and the other one is witless. That is what it is. And so how will this knowledge of non-duality bless this Adi duality right here? Adi means the original duality right here. It cannot. There is some mismatch between a dualistic person riddled with dualisms, seeking this knowledge of non-duality. So therefore the person has to become together as a person. Yuktatvam. A certain yukta. Yukta means a certain coming together of the desirer and the knower and the actor and the doer and the sayer and the thinker. There should be a arjavam, a certain integrity. Arjavam, riju bhava. It's used very nicely in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan Krishna addresses the qualifications to gain for this knowledge. Arjavam, he says. Arjavam means not just speaking the truth, but the thinking is in alignment with the speech is in alignment with one's action. So the whole person is together. And that is how one builds up a reputation of integrity, no matter where you are working. You may be a teacher, you may be you may be working in a corporation, you may be retired and not seeing many people, but a few people that you do see and you do have influence over. This is what they are looking at. They are not looking at anything else. They are not looking at what you wear, they are not looking at what you eat, they are not looking even at what you say, but who you are as a person. And that is needed, and that is gained through karma yoga. This lifestyle that is recommended by the Upanishad, by the Veda, to gain this knowledge. While gaining this knowledge, what should my lifestyle be? And it is a lifestyle of not even prayer, I would say it's a lifestyle of prayerfulness. Lifestyle of prayerfulness. Prayer is an action, a series of discrete action if you pray all the time. But prayerfulness is an attitude with which any action is performed. And this is the transformation that one undergoes. This is what the difference is. So God is not something that is enclosed in a thought. I have to think of God. How long are you going to sit and think of God? Okay, try. Okay, now God. Okay, next thought, God, 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 God. After a while the thought will come, this feels odd. Correct? And then when odd comes, God goes. Correct? And always, because of the spelling, proximity, God leads to dog. Wonder what the dog is doing. And then, dog replaces God. So then dog becomes more powerful than God. God is not an object of thought. In fact, it is neither subject nor object. It is the truth and the content of the object and the subject which transcends both. That is what we call Ishvara, God. So how can you trap God enclose God in a thought? That's why this God thought is very difficult to say always think of God. It's a recipe for madness. Keep thinking of God, keep thinking of God, keep thinking of God. And then you feel bad because bad thoughts are coming. Then you have to shake off the bad thoughts. Then the shaking off reminds you of dog. So again you have gone back to dog. Then you come back to God. Then in between 17 thoughts had no God. So if God is just a mere object of thought, then we are fried, finished. The Upanishads can we go back to the library? We don't have to sit and study them. So God is not an object of thought. And to make it that means that I am missing something very big here. I am missing, in fact, the whole vision. The entire vision I am missing. I am missing the obvious, And so therefore, I have to, it's not something like I have to sit and pray and the object of thought is God. But I have to make my life, I have to lead a life that opens me to the awareness of all that there is as a manifestation of Bhagavan. What is God. What isn't, what I think isn't, is also God. That is what is God. So it's the whole thing that where the creation, this is the truth of the vision, that the creation is non-separate from the creator. The jiva is non-separate from the creator. Brahman is non-separate from the creator. Everything is the creator. And so the creator, you don't have to go to a specific place or a specific room in your house or a specific corner or a specific corner of the mind to find the creator. Because it is everywhere. In fact, everything is nothing but that. And in this awareness I have to live. So then there is a drastic restructuring of my life if this awareness has to be discovered and assimilated. So the life has to be restructured. Because the other one is a very dualistic tendency. Pun intended, dualistic. You're fighting with yourself all the time. You're pinking yourself. This is what it is. In duels, you just pink the other person. Means you draw blood, basically. Yeah. You're injuring yourself by this dualistic tendencies. So there is a drastic restructuring of the life to allow this prayerfulness to abide in me. To change my very being from being a praying person, pun intended, P-R-E-Y-I-N-G also, from being a person that prays to being a person that is prayerful no matter what one does. So where is God not? That is the question. Not where is God. It's not an object. In fact, it is the truth of the very subject that I yearn to discover. And so therefore, there is a very specific, almost a quasi-scientific formula which is described as Karma Yoga. So what is that here? You restructure your life not to try to know God or anything. You restructure your life for Raga Dvesha management. That is the thing. Because without Raga Dvesha, when the jungle has to part in order to see the truth of yourself as God. So I don't go for the goal by compromising the means. I focus on the means right now. And what are the means? The means is the clearing of the jungle, the starving of the Raga Dveshas. So the entire life is turned topsy-turvy because I have chosen to know the truth of myself. I have chosen that. And that such a person is called Nishchayatmika, such a buddhi is called Nishchayatmika buddhi. Nishchaya means there is that discernment has been done. I want to know this Brahman, I want to know the truth of everything as myself. I want to know Bhagavan as the truth of myself. I want to have Ishvara's darshan. I want to have this darshan as me. That darshan should include me. So if that is the case, then there are certain, what should I say, home improvement tasks literally needing to be done. Some DIY tasks. And it's just like any kind of a project. If you want to paint, you can't suddenly just go to the market and get paints and start painting. What do you have to do? What do you have to do? Yes. You have to cover. You have to cover all these Holland covers. You have to put all the furniture under covers. And then you have to tape all the things where the paint should not go. You have to delineate the areas where the operation of painting has to take place. Correct? And if there is so much clutter in the house where there is no place to even put anything, you have to clear all that. You have to clear all the junk. You have to clean everything. And then make the wall, bring all the furniture to the middle of the room, put a cloth on them. All these things, because the walls and the corners have to be free, dust, clean, everything. Then only you can, and then you have to mix, and then you have to get the roller and the right consistency, and then you have to go up and down like this. You can't suddenly just take up the brush and go, haphazardly anyhow, because you are inspired to paint. There is always a prerequisite, correct? And so too here. It is not so much about covering, it is uncovering. In the paint example, you have to mask. Here, it is more of an unmasking. Yeah. You have to dedicate the whole life to raga dvesha management in order to study. And you study. The study is what frees from samsara. It's not that you put the study on the back burner. The study is the main thing. All other roles, all other connections, all other activities subserve this study. Subserve this pursuit. Everything else is auxiliary, helps this pursuit of the knowledge. So all the roles, whether one is a husband or a wife or a mother or a father or an employer or an employee, are for chitta shuddhi. We have talked about this at length. What is chitta shuddhi? Raga dvesha management, aka chitta shuddhi. Because a relationship does not develop, overnight. It has to be built. It has to be sustained. And then, in the process, if that person is important to you, you learn to give in. You learn to give up. But here, since something else other than the person is important to you, you still learn to give in and give up, because you suddenly winning an argument doesn't become important. This is very important knowledge for married couples. Yeah. Because if you are focused on the vidya, then you can let the other person win the argument. Why you have to win all the time? Let them win. They will be very happy, and you are already happy. They will be so happy that if they are not taking the classes, they will let you take more classes. They will say, oh, this is making you all soft and pliable, wonderful. Please go to that class. Yeah, you really need a few more classes. Or they will say, what is it that is transforming you so much? I also want to come and see and be transformed. Both can happen. And if you are both studying together, nothing more to say. Yes, it becomes a very peaceful household. And everybody is studying, everybody is focusing on raga dvesha management. And so the relationships are not, are basically, I give in because what I want is something other than just to win this argument. Or I want it a certain way. And this is how it should be. Why? Because I say so. No, that's not what I want. What I want? I forgot. Oh, what I really want is moksha. So this I have to let go for moksha. And really speaking, the person becomes such a person that you cannot make that person angry. In trying to make that person angry, you become angry that they are not becoming angry, but that person doesn't become angry. Really. And I've seen elders like this in our own culture. The grandmas, grandpapas, great grandmas, they will just be there because they have seen everything, They are 98. Okay, so they have seen everything. And nobody can say anything. It's all finished, nothing more is left. The Karma Yoga has fulfilled itself. So really speaking, I become the one, I become like through Karma Yoga, I become like a low-end car. Low-end car? Because see, this is what is occupational hazards of being a sadhu. Once somebody said, bless the car. I said, I've never blessed a car, I don't know what to do. I said, maybe we can do some arati. No, you have to sit. We can do all that, but you have to sit inside the driver's seat. I said, okay. So of course I'm not going to just sit. I looked around and there were all these curious buttons. Car was not on, don't worry. So I pressed the button, nothing happened. Then the other one also I pressed, nothing happened. Third one I pressed, nothing happened. Fourth one, the windscreen or something. I said, what is wrong with these 3 buttons? They said, oh, what can we tell you? We bought the low-end car. This is only XX or something. If you buy LX, EX something, then those other buttons, one of them makes coffee, fresh hot coffee. The other one is some kind of a music changer, something it does. The third one changes you. And these are all for the high-end cars. The low-end cars, they are just placeholders. You can get those options if you want, but we didn't get because each one is $10,000. So then, I was wondering why I am sitting here and pressing these buttons and nothing is happening. What can I learn from this? Then I said, this is what it is. Because you become a person, you're like a low-end car. You keep pressing, everybody keeps pressing the buttons. No action, no reaction. You become buttonless. Nobody can push a button because all the buttons are dropped. Nobody can say I'm being taken advantage of. Why? Because there is nothing, there is no grooves there, there is no button there, there is no rub. So you become a person in the process of giving up the raga dveshas. I don't say it is pretty, I don't say that it is easy, but I do say it is possible, it is feasible, and it is extremely important to do. And you can't do this alone. That's why you have to take recourse to that very Ishvara that you want to know as yourself. Because anger is going to come, fear is going to come, sense of failure is going to come, sense of relapse, samsara relapse is definitely going to come. Who are you going to call? Don't say Ghostbusters. Ishvara you are going to call. You are going to call upon Ishvara. And for us it's inexpensive local call, because Bhagavan is not somewhere long distance. Local call, you can just go to the river bank and make one little mound of earth and then stick 2 pieces of grass on it and call it Mahaganapatim Avahayami, local call. Right there, you can take a stone and say, Ishvara, what are you doing? Thaw me out, please, don't make me like this stone. You can say that. And Ishvara being ever available, anything you can, use to invoke that all-pervasive Vishnu. And this is a very important part of Karma Yoga, because I am not in charge of what I receive. What I receive is a manifestation of Ishvara. So the fruits of action are seen as Ishvara. If the fruits of action are seen as Ishvara, then what is action? Action also is Ishvara. So I dedicate the action to Ishvara, and then I receive the fruits of actions as coming from Ishvara. This is one way to stop complaining, correct? Yeah, because if Ishvara has given, Ishvara, that which is infallible being Ishvara, then what is come is infallible. Oh, but I can see 1,000 holes in what has come. Don't see the holes. Consider it holy. That's all. It's not full of holes, it is holy. A new definition of full of holes is holy. That's what it is. See everything as sacred, receive with humility, receive with gratitude. That is something, which we have to. That gratitude, that kritagnyata, the just, being full of awe, that is gratitude. Being full of awe of what is given all the time. And then all the time, everything is serving to help me. And if it is not, I have to question my agenda. I have to question my motivation. I have to question the actions arising from these agenda and this motivation. And sometimes it's not that it's the problem is not with the intention. The intention may be good, but what is the pressure behind the intention? If the intention is good, let it manifest, or not. Surrender. And even in somewhere I have seen, even in the current day, there is something that goes on. What is that? If you love something, set it free. If you love a raga, set it free. And if it's meant to, it will come back. Yeah. So raga dveshas also, you let them go. And then live within what comes. Live in a place of gratitude. Live in a place of dedication to the whole. And at the same time you study. That is the meaning of Satya Vachanam. Live in Dharma. You don't flout Dharma. Dharma is an order which is a manifestation of Ishvara. It's a matrix of norms which is a manifestation of Ishvara. We don't say Dharma is a is a rule of Ishvara, or what is that called? Mandate. No. It's the manifestation of Ishvara. So, and it's a very important manifestation that I can easily miss. So when I'm closely aligned to Dharma, when Dharma is close to my heart, Ishvara is close to my heart. So if you say, I miss Ishvara in my life, become close to Dharma, and then you are hugging Ishvara all the time. Ishvara resides where Dharma resides. And so that is something which is seen. So all my raga dveshas, subserve Dharma, are in service of Dharma. So if it contradicts Dharma, if it violates Dharma, if something is unlawful or incorrect according to time and place, or it's not supposed for me to be doing, Samanya Dharma, Vishesha Dharma and Swadharma. If it violates any of this, I don't engage in those actions. I use that raga dvesha as a spurt for self-growth. So in that growing, this is what comes. And this is basically what happens, and therefore Satyena Tapasa, those become the 2 feet, the 2 wheels of the chariot that is walking on the road of Dharma, that is going on the road of Dharma. And then what happens? Anupashyati, that leads to the sight of this vision, of course, accompanied by the teaching, by exposure to the knowledge. And then the same thing is reiterated again slightly differently. Sarva Vyapinam Atmanam Kshire Sarpihi Ivarpitam, that Atma which is ever present like butter even in the milk. And how do you churn it? Through Atma Vidya. Through Atma Vidya, that's the Atma Vidya is the churning stick. The churning stick is Atma Vidya. And then what? And the tapas are the moolam for which. That is what the Upanishad declares. It says that Atma Vidya is and tapas. The tapas here, the next one, is Chitta Naishchalyam. The first one was what? Chitta Shuddhi. This is Chitta Naishchalyam. The second tapas is meditation. Yeah. So you see how we have to look at the meaning separately. The second tapas is meditating upon what? Bhagavan. Or you can say meditating also upon the words of the Upanishad whose meanings I have known, contemplating upon that so the mind doesn't stray from the vision. So meditating upon Bhagavan, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So this is called Chitta Naishchalyam, means the unwavering mind is achieved through what is a kind of a strategy called Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha. Pravaha, flow. Sajatiya means of the same identical nature. Vritti, thought. So how do you catch hold of the mind You catch hold of the mind, as it were, by giving it the same thought to think over and over again. So you are in charge of the mind thinking. The mind is not allowed to stray through various pastures of delight. Yes. Yeah. You pasteurize the mind to stay in one place. Yes. You stay in one place. Like even when you put the milk on low, it keeps bubbling right there. So you maintain this boiling point by giving it something to do. And you make it, you tell it, for the next 5 minutes you are going to say, Om Namah Shivaya. What is it going to say? No! I am not. I'm not even going to enter the meditation room. Because first you have prepared this meditation room. You have bought yourself a cushion. And then, then somebody said you need to have a bell. So you went and bought one, what is that called? Singing Tibetan bowl which doubles as a bell. And then the bell said, I want a cushion. Then you buy a small cushion for the bell. So many yantras to meditate. And then after that, the mind doesn't want to sit on the cushion. It won't even let you sit. It says, it's a nice day, go outside. Tomorrow is going to snow, so go now itself. What to do now? So you have to be kind to the mind. And you have to tell it, do Om. What is Om? O-M-M. 1 minute meditation. 1 minute. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. The mind will say, all right, yeah, just to please you, I'll do it. And you'll have the best meditation if you just meditate for 1 minute. I tell you, it's going to be phenomenal. Because there'll be no distraction. The mind knows I can play after 1 minute. Great. Oh yeah, whatever this idiot wants, I'll give. But slowly, it gives up. It gives in. Then you don't push it more. You say 1 more minute later on. 1 more minute. And then in slow, slow increments, you make the mind do your bidding. And then even when you stop meditating, the mind does not stray. It is available for you. Yeah. It is available for Bhagavan to operate. And that is how, my friends, the Upanishads were channeled by the rishis, because their mind was available to them. And if anybody asks, why are the Upanishads not available now to be channeled? The reason is because we live in a fast-paced, fast society, all the time running with the mind, running with our bodies, not taking the time to stand and stare, literally. And so this stopping, this stillness, this ability of the mind to not have this the penchant, the fixation for running after things and thoughts and things to do, places to go, people to see, all at the level of this thought life. Not that the thought life is bad, but the thought life should not lead you. You should be in charge of the thought life. And that, coupled with the churning stick of Atma Vidya, the butter will soon be yours. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Yeah, any questions you can ask. And then in March, I think we will go to chapter 2. Any questions? No? Okay. Om.